Coming up today on Locked On Texas Tech, National Signing Day vibes immaculate. We're talking 5 stars, plural, and we're talking about, even as exciting as that is, this just being the beginning of getting this wagon rolling downhill.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now the number one sports podcast network in the world, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. And today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet only $5. And if your bet hits, you're getting $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So download the FanDuel app today. With the only Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan, back again, possibly for the second time, depending upon how many times you've consumed a Locked On Texas Tech episode today. Happy initial, though primary, I guess the biggest one, National Signing Day. It's a little bit different of a process than we were once accustomed to, Chris, but it will play out again in a different kind of form in February. So stand by upon the conclusion of today's conversation for more to come later, Chris. But we got a lot to celebrate today. If you've been following along with Texas Tech on social media, you may have seen a lot of these names and announcements come across in the early morning hours. Do we ask the obligatory question about a fax machine or not? I don't know. I'll leave that up to Chris Level. But Chris, for those who are catching up, let's put it up on the screen here, and then we'll give her a big rundown as far as some of those things standing out among 5-star prospects, plural, among some of what we've seen timeline-wise play out with when these guys are going to actually be arriving in the LBK. And what so far, I'm knocking on wood, seems like one of those rare National Signing Days that are soap opera or dramatics kind of free, dare I say. Okay, let's get the list on the screen and take a look here at this newest collection of Red Raiders. And man, what an exciting group, Chris. It's an all-time era, it feels like, and this feels like one of those all-time classes.
Yeah, this is going to end up being, I think, certainly a top 25 class, maybe even be a top 20 class. I mean, you can get into rankings and all the things that you want, but bottom line is this is a smaller class, I think, than some schools will sign, and that factors into it as well. I mean, I think West Virginia is going to sign basically twice as many as you are, but they need to. So what you've done is you've signed 20 players this morning. I don't anticipate you signing any more. You turned down plenty of and you had several that visited in recent weeks that were committed to other schools. You had a Baylor commit on campus. You had I'm trying to remember all the different you didn't really have spots for these guys, but what you are trying to do is because you've been full for a while. I don't think they were really openly wanting to tell anybody about that, but you're also trying to lay the groundwork for don't have any room for you now. However, give us a call in a year or two, one of those deals, right? Because that's how this stuff is working. But you added 20 players here, and you've got 12 on defense, 8 on offense. 7. There is some potential. I say that like is in bad or negative news to where I was wrong, but we'll get to that in a second. But 20 players, 12 on defense, 8 on offense. 17 of these players are going to be here in a matter of weeks. This is why you had this is treated like the real signing day. 95, maybe even higher % of the prospects out there that are D1 guys are putting pen to paper, on this day and being celebrated on this day. Coaches had it moved up to get more separation from the portal, get more separation from bowl prep or playoff prep, whatever it was. And so that's why it's December the 3rd as opposed to December the 17th or 18th. I mean, several years ago, I was sitting there in a hotel room doing prep for a bowl game, and doing some pre-interview stuff. And they had a fax machine in the little office right next door in the hotel, in the team hotel, because they're doing signing day. It's just all on top of each other. So this gives you some space there. But you add and think about what you've added here position wise. Your 5-star guys are a defensive end that can rush the passer and an offensive tackle. I think only LaDainian Guyton would be thought to maybe factor in immediately as a rotational player. I think it may take, you'll let Ojo kind of grow into this deal. You've got your starters large in part are set for next year and on the offensive line. So it's a developmental situation with the offensive line, but that's where you added a quarterback, a running back, 4 offensive linemen, 2 receivers, 4 defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, and 6 DBs. But your focus will continue to be on the trenches, and you'll big people, right? So the one bit of potential negative news is we'll see if we get an announcement or kind of what this looks like. LaDainian Guyton may not, in fact, enroll early. It may have just been he reclassified, and so may not be able to get it all done. And so I think that maybe we don't see him here again until May or June. So that is the one, but it's just trying to speed it all up is difficult as it is, but then doing it a whole year and a half ahead of time, I think it's a class credit situation, I believe. So we'll see how that plays out, but it may be June before he arrives, which is not ideal. It sets him back a bit, and I think it hurts a bit for the immediate for next year. But that's why the portal class coming up will be a big deal too, because you'll certainly be addressing some needs there in January.
Well, things just move a little slower down in Georgia with class credits and transcripts. I do declare, Chris. That's just the way it works. I'm sure they did their absolute best to help us out in that situation. No big deal. Happy to have him when he arrives. Man, I guess this early arrival kind of timeline for so many of these guys is just the norm. I remember when it used to be like sort of a unique or special advantage for this guy or that guy that can get it done. It's still no easy thing to make happen, but man, the numbers just seem to get bigger and bigger every year as far as the percentage that's showing up to begin the spring semester.
Yeah, I mean, this is because you're kind of hinting at the large number of early enrollees.
Oh yeah, I just remember you'd get maybe a handful or less,
exactly.
And you think, well, it should put him ahead. That's a special thing to be able to do, and now it's like, man, if you're not, are you behind all of a sudden?
Exactly. I mean, I think this is going to be the norm. I don't know if you'll ever get 100% of guys that show up early, but this is now going to become the norm and the expectation, and what Tech will tell these guys, because Keegan Ash, who's been playing some running back right now, I think they're still in the high school playoffs, but I think he's got some track and basketball and all that stuff in the spring. DeMarcus Marks is an edge player that you've signed. I think he's got some track going. And then we've mentioned the Guyton situation with just the class credits because he reclassified and all that stuff. But those would be the 3 that may not be here early. But that's what Texas Tech always tells these guys. Hey, man, if you are on a basketball team and you can go win a state championship, do it. If you can go win state and track, do it. We're good. But that's really where it stops. If not, they would really encourage and will do everything they can to get you here immediately. So, I just can't explain to people enough how big of a deal that is. And it's not just about we're learning where the English building is or anything like that. It's just the way that they train, the way that they lift, the way that they eat. Guys change, their bodies change dramatically. And when they've been here since January and it's time for August to roll around when fall camp gets here versus when a guy's been here in June. And that's what gives you a little pause about Guyton and immediate, but he may just be such a freak that, hey, we'll see what that looks like. But this is the norm now, and I don't expect you to sign anybody in the late period. All of your next roster additions are being worked on now and are coming in January when the portal opens. But a lot of that legwork being done right now.
Any drama to speak of that's not made it to the surface? Or, I mean, we've seen some wild things on signing days before, but.
Well, Guyton was the one that, until it came in, because he's in Georgia, Georgia just lost a big-time quarterback commitment to Vanderbilt, and a lot of folks felt like, okay, whatever rev share money or whatever they were doing there, they're going to throw it all at Guyton and all that. They didn't quit, I don't think, with him. And I've heard people say this too. They wouldn't be doing their jobs if they did just go, okay, dude, good luck at Texas Tech. We'll leave you alone.
Right.
No, you still, but I think Georgia stayed with trying to get Guyton to flip and do all the things until the end. So until that one came in, I can just tell you, as of yesterday afternoon.
First, today's episode brought to you by FanDuel, and football is in full force, and FanDuel's keeping you stocked with action every game day with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet only $5, and if your bet hits, you're getting $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. Any way you like it, FanDuel has you covered. Quick, easy, and secure every time. If you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
Texas Tech felt good about it, but it was like, yeah, you just don't know until you know, right?
Sure.
And then the next thing is like, nothing's actually official until he shows up here and sits in class and all that stuff. And so, but I think you're going to be okay there. But again, until you get a signed deal and until you get them here and all that stuff, you just never know. But Georgia did not. But other than that, everything was expected. It was pretty much drama free. You had all done all your work, and then you've laid the groundwork with a lot of these visitors coming in recent weeks and like that BYU game that you really didn't have room for. But again, you're laying the groundwork for the future.
Well, and that's what I'm thinking about, just to wrap it up, because this has been an exciting cycle to say the least. And you were casting some lines in some different ponds than you typically were. Maybe you were, but you're hooking them now and you're landing them and hopefully going to see them make an impact in the future, Chris. So I still kind of feel like, as fun and exciting as this has been so far, I want to say it's sort of only the beginning. Would that be a foolish thing to say, or do you think there are some other exciting irons in the fire? And we know about some. I mean, obviously, Kavion Bryant, guys like that we've already talking about as far as the future, but still even beyond that, things beneath the surface that we'll be excited to see not too far from now.
Yeah, so the just the beginning aspect is you're watching this thing kind of converge at the same time, because Joey has stated we needed to win. We needed to get to the title game. You need to win the title game. If we do that, we will start to create some buzz, and then we'll be able to recruit to that. You kind of started to recruit better before that you got to this point with making a lot of news and focusing on certain players and all these things. But I think that now that you're here and at this stage and you're fourth in the CFP and you're looks like you're going to be in win or lose come Saturday, that the 27 class, I mean, you're sitting there with Kavion Bryant and Jalen Brewster, who is one of the top defensive tackles from Cedar Hill in the country. The Benny Easter, the stud wideout, and it just goes on and on. That class has a chance to be much better than this one. Remember, Felix Ojo said that. I don't know if he'll end up being right. I just appreciated the quote because he could kind of see the vision and was buying the vision. Felix Ojo, whenever he committed around July the 4th and all that stuff, and then in the month and then the weeks after that, he was like, this current Texas Tech team is the least talented team that we'll have in the next 5 to 6 years. And I'm like, whoa, that's a hell of a statement. I don't know if that'll actually be the truth or not, but you get what he's saying. Just the beginning. Think of this as year one of a run here that you're about to potentially go on.
I will indeed. Happy to do that, and I'm loving it, picking up what he's putting down. And it does seem like, Chris, with proof of performance, which you're only sort of just in the beginning stages of, you could really see the momentum grow even further, which is just wild to consider as a Red Raider. But we already know what a time to be alive it is.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say about one of your signees is that one of the guys that's not going to get a lot of pub because you're not going to need him immediately, but I think one of the best players that you just added and on this day was Ace Rowden. This is a 5'11", 205-pound running back that will be physical with you. He will run away from you, and your running back room is just flat loaded next year. With your two guys that we've already seen what they can do, Quentin Joyner being back, Ace Rowden, it allows you to move Adam Hill back to linebacker, Oliver Miles back to corner, all the things. We'll see how that plays out. But Ace Rowden, don't forget that name. And what a great name it is. What a phenomenal name.
Kill the quarterback, run the ball, win everything.
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Chris, appreciate a little extra time to catch up on this initial National Signing Day. Never say never on what could play out as we move forward. So good reason, as always, to get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss a thing. Appreciate your time, Chris, and we'll see you for the next one.
Yeah, and I'm tired of getting talked to about the BYU people having more subscribers than we do. I keep getting bullied about that. So help us out, man. Help us out. I'm kidding.
Subscribed.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Like us, want us, need us.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Where you get podcasts so you never miss an episode.
Yeah.
Thank you to the everydayers, sometimes twice a dayers, for always being out there, and the Matador Mob. Hit our show notes and find a link to a free 14-day trial if you're interested in joining that outlaw band. That is your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one text sent straight to your phone. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks as always for the time. We hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.